Hello, good evening. This is David Kruger, and this is Alpha Shift Radio, the Alpha Shift podcast. Happy to be here with you on this beautiful, cold, wintry evening. Tonight we're going to talk about, my subject tonight is how to take charge of your life and be the kind of man that women want and the world needs. So, let me start by saying, a lot of you guys who follow the Alpha Shift, who are listening to this podcast, you like to reflect on how bad the world seems to suck at the moment, how difficult it is to make relationships work with women. I'm going to go through some of that. I'm going to outline a few things, and then I'm going to talk about how you're going to take responsibility and how you're going to make things happen the way you want them to, no matter what the circumstances are. The first thing I'm going to talk about is college education. There's a shortage. I have an article for you today from Psychology Today, and it's entitled, "Is There a Shortage of Men Worth Marrying?" This is a common perception. I'm going to go into, by the way, tonight, the perceived problems, what they really are, and what you and I are going to do about them. So this is all going to have a happy ending. I don't want anybody getting depressed as we get rolling here. Psychology Today article, "Is there a shortage of men worth marrying? New research suggests a mismatch between what men offer and what women want." And this article is written by a woman named Teresa E. DiDonato, PhD. She's a social psychologist and an assistant professor at Loyola University, Maryland. I'm going to hit some highlights from this article. Marriage rates are on the decline in the United States and have been for the last few decades. Data offered by the U.S. Census shows that nearly 70% of men and women were married in the 1950s, compared to about 50% in 2018, with a near 10% increase in the same time frame of men and women who report never having been married. That is a very significant shift in 50 years. There are a number of reasons for this demographic shift. For instance, delayed marriage, more long-term non-marital cohabitation, and perhaps less cultural emphasis on marriage. I would agree with that. But might there be other reasons? New research identifies an interesting quirk in the marriage market that might explain declining rates of marriage. Taking an economic approach, the author argues there's a fundamental mismatch between what's available men in the United States have to offer and what available women in the United States are willing to accept. Maybe, they propose, women aren't getting married because the highly desirable men are taken. Focusing their analysis on single heterosexual women, the researchers used data from the American Community Survey to predict the likely characteristics of these women's husbands if they had husbands, and then compare those characteristics to what actually available in the single women's dating pool. More specifically, the researchers generated synthetic spouses for the single women in their sample by first matching them with demographically similar women who happened to be married. The synthetic spouses were designed to reflect the characteristics of the husbands of similar married women. This is getting a little thick, I know. Basically, what the article is saying is that women are saying there just aren't the men that they want to marry. There aren't men who are economically viable and who have what they want. So a lot of you guys are saying, so what the hell? I mean, that's what it is. We have women, they are graduating college at almost 2-to-1. There is almost 2 women for 1 man graduating college now. And so we have a situation here. We have, and it's not that men just don't live up. This is what David in the Alpha Shift is saying now. It's that men just don't care anymore. I'm going to give you another article. It says women are saying no to marriage and men are angry, depressed, and lonely. I don't necessarily agree with that. Some of these articles are written by the mainstream media, and they are, we could say that, it's kind of a feminist slant. And, modern feminism really is kind of the mainstream media slant on things. It's not necessarily the complete truth. Because I can tell you, and I've talked to a lot of men, I've worked with a lot of men, and there is an overall pervasive sense of what's the use? What am I going to get married for? What's in it for me? Women are writing articles about there's no marriageable men aren't good enough, they're not meeting my expectations, and men are thinking, screw you. What am I going to get married for? Men get married because they want feminine support. Because if a man who is healthy is on his life mission, he wants a woman who is going to support him in that. That's what, and raise his children. That's what men get married for. I think that we have, as a society, have lost track of that. What the hell does a man want to get married for if he's going to have a competitor in his home? This article I have in front of me. Women are saying no to marriage and men are angry, depressed, and lonely. Let's see what Jed Diamond, PhD, has to say about this. I see the changes in my friends and family and in the clients who come to me for marriage and family counseling. These changes have taken place, for the most part, under the radar of our awareness, but they are changing everything from how we deal with our health to who we elect as our next president. A recent book review in the New York Times, from which the above picture was taken, begins, throughout American history, the start of adult life for women, it was a picture of a woman and a man happy, throughout American history, the start of adult life for women, whatever else it might have been destined to include, has been typically marked by marriage. Rebecca Traister writes in her new book, All the Single Ladies, Unmarried Women and the Rise of an Independent Nation. Since the late 19th century, the median age of first marriage for women has fluctuated between 20 and 22. This has been the shape, pattern, and definition of female life. That is the definition of what female life is supposed to be. But the times are changing big time, and not for the better, I'm going to add. An article in New York Magazine quotes Ms. Traister's research. In 2009, the proportion of American women who were married dropped below 50%. In other words, for the first time in American history, single women, including those who were never married, widowed, divorced, or separated, outnumbered married women. Perhaps even more strikingly, the number of adults younger than 34 who had never married was up 46%, rising 12 percentage points in less than a decade. For women under 30, the likelihood of being married has become astonishingly small. Today, only around 20% of Americans aged 18 to 29 are wed, compared to nearly 60% in 1960. It's a radical upheaval, a national reckoning with massive social and political implications. No shit. And it goes far beyond not enough marriageable men. See, women today, and you can't blame the woman. So if young guys are watching this, and you've got some women you've been dating who've been a little bit more than a handful, you kind of can't blame her. She's been conditioned to kick men, marriage, family to the curb and focus on a career and focus on herself. We are several generations into this now. The marriage rates are plummeting. We are now no longer we're now no longer generating enough children to replace our current population. You're going to start seeing the population in the United States dwindle. It's already happening in nations in Europe. They've already gone way over that cliff. And we're not, this is why in Germany and France, for instance, they're literally importing refugees from the Middle East, hoping they'll have a tax base in the future. Somebody's got to have kids who can work and pay future taxes. You see what's happening here? I think we've seen some social engineering going on. So if you're listening or watching this and you're a man and you can't quite understand why your life didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, why you're not married yet, this is what's going on. And it's going on everywhere. And this is the score. I'm going to take the first part of this podcast and I'm really going to lay out for you what's going on and what the score is. This is not going to be all doom and gloom. I'm going to go into what you can do about it. But the first thing you need to understand is, the map, the territory, the lay of the land. I've got an article here. We're a little article heavy in the beginning of this podcast. Bear with me. So I'm laying out my case. This one is from, as many of you who are familiar with this podcast know, my favorite author, Suzanne Venker. Suzanne is actually on Tucker Carlson on Fox News tonight as I am recording this right now. She's going to go on in a few minutes talking about this very article. And this article is entitled, 4 Feminist Lies That Are Making Women Miserable. Too many women map out their lives with work at the center and eventually wish that they hadn't. My inbox is loaded with women's emails saying they wish someone had told them this sooner. To juxtapose this with the article I just read about women are saying no to marriage and men are angry, depressed, and lonely, probably written by someone who hates men. And the first article from Psychology Today, written by a woman, a PhD, is there a shortage of men worth marrying? That's the narrative that they're telling. No, there isn't a shortage of men worth marrying. There's a shortage of women with the will to marry, would be my opinion. Anyway, back to Suzanne's article. 20 years ago, I wrote my first book about why women can't have it all, or at least all at once, despite what the culture tells them. Hint, it's because no one, male or female, can perform 2 full-time jobs simultaneously without the bottom falling out. Ain't that the truth? At the time, the so-called mommy wars were raging. Women everywhere who'd been sold a bill of goods by their feminist mothers and mentors were either lamenting the futility of being able to successfully work full-time outside the home while maintaining a healthy marriage and family life, or they were defending their choice to work full-time by insisting children do fine in round-the-clock substitute care. Here are the 4 feminist lies that Suzanne talks about in her article. Number 1. Women don't need men. It started with a seemingly comical phrase Gloria Steinem didn't coin but repeatedly used during the height of the 1960s feminist movement. A woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. It's still alive and well today, whether it's Jennifer Aniston talking about how women don't have to fiddle with a man to have a child, or Emma Watson talking about self-partnering. How insane is self-partnering? Over time, as women began to make their own money and take advantage of the newfound birth control pill, they came to believe that women don't need men. They were wrong. Biologically, women are wired to depend on men, regardless of how much life has changed. Most women still want to be mothers, and when they do, they become vulnerable. Even today, women know instinctively that they will ultimately need a man if they want to have a family and if they want the option of being at home at all, if only for a period of time. And the second big lie that feminists believe. Men and women are the same, or gender is a social construct. That's a big one today. And it's BS, guys. The precise moment in history when the relationship between the sexes took a nosedive is when women began to have sex like a man, casually, with no strings attached, under the guise that women are no different from men and are thus just as capable of having casual sex. Consider this ridiculous bustle article asserting, based on a dubious study, that men and women are now equally likely to pursue a hookup if approached the right way. From college campuses to our nation's boardrooms, many women have learned to pursue sex the way men often do, no commitment necessary, and they're getting burned. If there's anything that proves this in spades, it's the so-called campus rape crisis and the excesses of Me Too. For if it were true that women are just like men in their ability to disentangle sex and emotion, why would campus flings and office dalliances become a cause for the courts rather than a welcome ride? Another big myth, number 3, the biological clock isn't real. Oh, yes, it is. The biological clock may be politically inconvenient, but that doesn't make it any less real. The ideal age for a woman to get pregnant is 25, noted Gillian Lockwood, medical director at the Midland Fertility Clinic in the UK. The bleak reality is that the chance of IVF working with your own eggs once you are 40 is absolutely abysmal. In what other branch of medicine would be yet alone encourage patients to pay for an elective operation with a less than 5% chance of working. This is incredibly huge. This is what's getting so many women in their 30s screwed, is that they've put off marriage and family. They're 35 years or older, and their biological clock is running out. Folks, that's it. When biology runs out on you, you're done. You're out of the game. You're not having a family. Number 4, big lie that feminists tell women. A career is more meaningful than marriage and children. Of all the lies feminists tell, the idea that career success is more fulfilling. Too many women map out their lives with work at the center and eventually wish they hadn't. Sadly, my inbox is loaded with emails from women who tell me they wished someone had told them this sooner. So here I am, saying it as loudly as I can. Women have been lied to for years, and that's why they're so unhappy. There is only one solution. Flip your priorities. Put love and family, not work, at the center, and you will win in the game of life. That's what I did, Suzanne Venker says, and it made all the difference. And she did. I will put a link to her latest book in the show notes. You really need to consider that. And to emphasize the point that Suzanne makes, I've got some wonderful comments made by A-list Hollywood actress Charlize Theron. I was watching a YouTube video about a week ago, and the YouTuber was citing some comments made by 43-year-old, super rich, ultra lovely Charlize Theron. She wants someone to step up and date her. So let me read you some of the comments that Charlize Theron made. E.T.'s Entertainment Tonight's Kevin Frazier spoke with the actress and her Long Shot's her new movie co-star, Seth Rogen, at CinemaCon in Las Vegas on Thursday, where she revealed that she's waiting for someone to step up and date her. This was published in April of this year, 2019. In Long Shot, Rogen plays a man who courts his childhood love and former babysitter who is now running for president, but Theron says that in reality, she's been out of the dating pool for so long that courting her would be anything but a long shot. This is very interesting. Guys, this is Charlize Theron. She's hot as hell. I've been single for 10 years. It's not a long shot. Somebody just needs to grow a pair and step up, she said. I'm shockingly available. Okay, that's about all of that I can read. I'm shockingly available. Somebody needs to step up. First of all, my goodness, the entitlement. I'm shockingly available. Why isn't someone falling all over me wanting to date me? Probably because you have this attitude that you're shockingly available and somebody just needs to step up. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing in it for anybody. Nobody wants to deal with an attitude like that. No man who's worth his salt, or even men who aren't, are going to deal with that. So this is the situation that we are dealing with today. That's the score. It's good to know the score. You know, it's good to go on YouTube and watch all the red pill and MGTOW videos. Don't get too caught up in the way these guys think because they're a little bit nihilistic. But it's good to understand the way people are behaving, the attitudes that people have, and the limitations that they have, what's going on in the world today. Because ultimately, you're going to have to take 100% responsibility for your entire life. You're going to have to look at your own situation, figure out what you like and you don't like about it. Realize that whatever's going on, no matter how bad you may think she hurt you, you're responsible for it. You're not to blame for someone else's behavior, but you're responsible for your situation. You have to take responsibility so that you can take the power to change it. You got to think about what you want to create. So, to pick you back up, I brought a couple of my favorite books into the studio tonight. I'm going to read you a few awesome quotes that are worthy of re-emphasizing. The first quote I have tonight is the classic Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This book was published in 1937 on the heels of the Great Depression, just as America was coming out of the Depression. So the book is very much focused on creating riches and money, because that's what was on everyone's mind in 1937 when they were just starting to put food back in their mouths again. But the principles in this book really can be used to create anything that you want. Money, a career, a good body, and a great relationship. Anything that you might want to make you happy. I'm going to start talking to you guys about the principles of manifestation and about creating what you want. The reason that the world seems to suck isn't because the world actually sucks. It's just because, everyone has a tendency to focus on what is. They observe what's actually happening, and they just make more of it. But it doesn't mean that you have to do that. So I have a couple good quotes for you. We're going to talk about, manifesting what you really want. So this is my new copy from the introduction. Truly, thoughts are things, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or material objects. It means that the thoughts in your mind actually have physical mass. They are actually something, and they are powerful. And what makes thoughts create things? What makes, like The Secret, for instance, everybody saw that movie 15 years ago, whatever it was. What is it that makes your thoughts create things? When they're backed up by emotion and belief. This sounds overly simplistic. It's actually harder than you think to accomplish. You're going to find that when you first start sitting down and thinking about what you want, that loving relationship with that wonderful woman, all the money that you want to make from your business. When you actually think about these things, the first time you do it, you're going to have all kinds of doubt come rushing in. You might even feel crappy in your gut. That's it. Or you might be averse, or your mind wants to wander and think about what's on TV, or just anything other than trying to have to focus on what I want. Well, see, that's just the thing. That's the hard work that's involved. You've got to clear out your resistance and almost holographically create in your mind the world that you want to create. And you do that before it exists in reality. That's the key. Got another quote for you from Think and Grow Rich. This is from, I believe, chapter 3 on faith. This is Napoleon Hill's self-confidence formula. Guys, if you get nothing else out of tonight's podcast, I want you to get the self-confidence formula from Napoleon Hill. And you're going to say this to yourself. First, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. And you have to have a definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. Second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. Guys, the attractive guy that you want to be. The guy that the woman you want, who she can't resist. The alpha male that the alpha shift talks about. You're going to create that version of yourself first in your mind before he exists in reality. Understand that's the only way he's ever going to come to be. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life and will never stop trying until I have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Fifth, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. Cooperation of other people, good ethics, and a definite chief aim. Something else I want to talk to you, the next thing I want to talk to you about in life. Because a lot of men, they come to me and they want to know how they can get a woman or get the woman that they want. or get their wife, who has become a bit distant, to re-engage. Their little world has been upset, and they want to set it right. And I'm going to tell you now on this podcast that it's just not that simple. Your little world that got upset wasn't so great to begin with. Because the reason that you have been unhappy, and the reason that PhDs are writing articles on Psychology Today about there's not enough marriageable men, the reason this is all going on is because most men don't have a purpose. They don't have a definite chief aim in life. They don't have a mission that they're on. See, women who want to follow a man, they want to follow a man with purpose, a man who is out to achieve something, a man who is creating something, a man who is following a destiny, a purpose that's bigger than himself. That has magnetic power to pull her along. That has sufficient mass to keep her magnetized. I'm going to read you a little something from my all-time favorite book, The Way of the Superior Man. By the way, all of these books that I'm reading from, I'm going to sincerely recommend that you get. Think and Grow Rich, Way of the Superior Man. I don't know if I'm going to get to Ask and It Is Given. We might get to that on a future episode because I'm kind of just going freeform here and with what I'm inspired to do. But all of these books, by the way, you need to read books. You need to be constantly shaping and taming your mind, getting it under control. You know, the monkey mind gets in so much trouble, the chatter that takes over. You need to constantly be training your mind. So, The Way of the Superior Man is written by David Data, who heavily into Buddhism, very spiritual, very interesting guy. I know a guy who knows him. But these principles are based in ancient Buddhism, and they are absolutely powerful and true, and the chapters are really short, which makes it easy to read. And I'm just going to read you the subheadings for a couple of chapters and talk about it. And this has to do with life purpose for a man. Chapter 7, in Way of the Superior Man. Your purpose must come before your relationship. Every man knows that his highest purpose in life cannot be reduced to any particular relationship. If a man prioritizes his relationship over his highest purpose, he weakens himself, he disserves the universe, and cheats his woman of an authentic man who can offer her full, undivided presence. For so many of us who are nice guys and who are going along just fine, you know, doing the dishes, trying to keep her happy, and she left anyway, this is what happened. You didn't have a purpose. You didn't have anything with any kind of magnetism or mass that kept her excited, kept her around, or kept you interesting. He goes on, admit to yourself that if you had to choose one or the other, the perfect intimate relationship or achieving your highest purpose in life, you would choose to succeed at your purpose. That's a man who's regularly balanced. A lot of guys would be like, no, I would hold on to her at any cost, which is exactly why you lost her and why you'll never keep anyone. Just this self-knowledge often relieves much pressure a man feels to prioritize his relationship when in fact it's not his highest priority, and nor should it be. Your mission is your priority. Unless you know your mission and have aligned your life to it, your core will feel empty. That burning inside of you, that sense of dis-ease, it's because you don't know your purpose in life. No amount of drink, dessert, golf, or sweet cars can fill that hole. You must know your purpose in life. You must know thyself. Believe me, in future episodes, we're going to get deeper into this, but know that you must know your purpose and know yourself. That is key to anything. Your woman will be more fulfilled with 30 minutes a day of undivided attention and ravishing love than she will with a few hours of your weak and divided presence when your heart really isn't into it. Time you spend with your woman should be time you really want to be with her more than anything else. If you'd rather be doing something else, she'll feel it. That means don't sit around on the damn couch with your girlfriend or your wife watching Netflix and think that that's quality time. Get your mission done in life. Have purpose. Then, when you want to spend 30 minutes or 60 minutes quality time with your wife, ravish her. Take her in the bedroom. That's quality time. I hope my mom isn't watching this. The next chapter I want to read for you. Give me 1 second here. I've actually got pages in the book marked. And this is an obvious add-on to the last one. If you don't know your purpose, discover it now. Without a conscious life purpose, a man is totally lost, drifting, adapting to events rather than creating events. Without knowing his life purpose, a man lives a weakened, impotent existence, perhaps eventually becoming even sexually impotent, or prone to mechanical and disinterested sex. The core of your life is purpose. Everything in your life, from your diet to your career, must be aligned with your purpose if you are to act with coherence and integrity in the world. This is probably the first time some of you have ever heard anything like this. Okay? If you know your purpose, your deepest desire, then the secret of success is to discipline your life so that you support your deepest purpose and minimize distractions and detours. This is the key to existence as a man. You have to have a purpose. You have to know your purpose. Personally, lately, I've been reading this great book. It's called The Life You Were Born to Live by Dan Millman. He's the guy who wrote all the Way of the Peaceful Warrior books. And it's based on numerology, the Pythagorean system. And you find your life path. I'm a 34/7. And, it gives you, basically everything you were born into this life to do. For me, it's expression, following a process, and learning to trust. Those are what my major birth numbers, kind of boil down to. So everything I do, whether I'm creating the alpha shift, whether I'm writing books, no matter whether I'm speaking on stage, it's really all about expression and sensitivity, following a process, and ultimately trust and openness. Learning to trust the spiritual process in my life. So everything I do, every business I create, every chief aim for money, everything that I try to create in my life has to adhere to those principles, has to adhere to those things. I know my ultimate spiritual purpose for existing in this body, this time. And so everything that I try to create really has to fall in line with that. Trust and openness in a process. There's a little bit more letting go in that than hanging on. I understand that for myself. So when I watch Dan Pena videos on YouTube about how to become a millionaire and about how everybody's a douchebag and you got to do this, you got to do that, I can filter that crap out. Because becoming a billionaire like Dan Pena isn't my life purpose. I know that. I know just knowing your purpose doesn't mean you're here to make money. It doesn't mean it all has to be one purpose. Everyone has a different purpose, and you need to use whatever resources are available to you to figure out what your purpose is. Know it. Stick to it. Have a plan. Know who you are. If you know who you are, and that's some goofy street artist, that's going to be more attractive to a woman than some guy who's trying to half-ass be a millionaire. It's just a matter of knowing who you are and owning it. But you got to know who you are. I'm going to share with you at this point. And I'm taking you, everything I've presented in this podcast tonight, I'm kind of trying to put in a certain order. I'm laying out a framework because I'm kind of hitting you guys with a lot tonight. Laying out a framework. I want you guys to see what the problem is. That was the first part. I want to talk about taking full responsibility and having a purpose. And now we're going to have a little bit of fun. Once you have a purpose, once you have taken full responsibility for your life, now you can have a little bit of fun in your relationships with women. And some of the best dating advice for men that has ever been dispensed was in this crappy 20-year-old movie. Hold on a second, I have to take a drink of water. My voice is getting a little scratchy. Best advice ever given, maybe ever, but certainly ever in a movie, was this goofy movie called The Dow of Steve. It came out about 20 years ago, and it had nuggets of pure gold for men. The main character was a guy named Dex, and he was an overweight 30-year-old part-time kindergarten teacher who actually was a master at seducing he would seduce incredibly hot women. It was insane. And he calls his method the Dow of Steve because it combines Taoism and the traits of three famous Steves who most women throughout time have found fascinating and irresistible. And those Steves are Steve Austin, Lee Majors from the $6 Million Man, Steve McGarrett from Hawaii Five-0, and of course Steve McQueen, the legendary Steve McQueen, action movie star of the 60s and 70s. And so it's ended up being an effective 3-part system for getting dates with women. So I'm going to give you the 3 parts. And they're pretty awesome. And you learn how to do this, and you're going to do well no matter what. Part 1. Be desireless. A quote from the movie. Dex says, if you're out with this girl and you're even thinking about getting laid, you're finished because women can smell an agenda like shit on a shoe. Ain't that the truth? If you're clearly trying to get laid, she's going to smell it, she's going to see it, and she's going to run like hell. Desire and need are repulsive on a man because it screams of lack. Oh, I'm not getting any, I got to get it from you. Women want to mate, they want to get with a man who has options. They want to, she wants a guy who can have any woman. She wants to feel that she's getting something valuable. And if he's desiring and needy of her because he's not getting it elsewhere, then that comes off as low value. As they say in business, if you can't walk away from a deal, you're not negotiating, you're just begging. Women know this. So the way you need to act is that you're just out having a good time and she can take part in your fun. That's the kind of woman, that's the kind of man that a woman wants to be with. Another great quote that Dex says in the movie, act like a woman can't join your club and she'll do almost anything to get in. It's a sales technique, creating scarcity. But to be able to do this effectively, you can't be acting. Okay, you have to have a purpose in life. You have to know that your purpose is more important than any particular relationship. You can't fake this stuff, guys. I mean, I can lay it out for you, like the things that are attractive, the things that are not, but you can't just go fake it. You can't follow a script. It won't work. It'll come off as fake. You'll be transparent. So you have to do things in order. Know the score. Know what's going on. Know that you're 100% responsible for everything in your life. Figure out who you are. Do the work to know who you are. Figure out what your life purpose is. Pursue that life purpose with all you've got. And when you're in the process of pursuing your life purpose, now you can go out and meet women and be desireless and act like she can't join your club. Now you're going to have some fun. See, the problem is that the majority of guys only have one criterion. Is she hot or not? Trust me, guys, I've been jealous of that. That perfect ass, those perfect legs, and I just lose my goddamn common sense. I've done it more than once. So I know how it is. And I think sometimes you have to actually lose control of yourself and get in trouble a few times before you actually learn. You eventually learn to screen for other important qualities. Like does she have a decent personality? I like to tell new alpha shift guys that you guys have something special. You're the prize. Act like it. Second part of Dex's three-part strategy, be excellent. He calls it in the movie having skills, like being good at playing guitar. Skills are anything that make you unique, interesting, or exciting. It can be, you could be a rodeo clown, juggling, an Olympic gymnast. Maybe you're good with languages. Maybe you're a great orator. Maybe you're just really funny like a comedian. Maybe you have great confidence. Maybe you drive like a race car driver. Simple, manly shit. Maybe you can build a bed frame. Maybe you're handy. Whatever it is you do, own it. Have skills. I would even, break it down more to just being like focused and purpose-driven and confident. Those are skills too. And really, this part of his system is called just be excellent. Be excellent, be capable, be confident. Do that and you'll have her squirming in her jeans, I guarantee you that. Part 3. Be gone. Be gone is explained as using the law of the jungle analogy. We pursue that which retreats. So you get through her defenses by being desireless. So you're not some needy bitch. Then you stimulate her desire by being absolutely excellent, having skills, being kind of a badass. Then when she starts getting a little hot and bothered and actually into you and starts thinking, I want this guy, take it away. It's a classic sales technique where the it that you take away is you. You withdraw from the situation. You be gone. After you've eliminated your desire and after you've been excellent in her presence, you've got a life purpose. You're not needy for her. You are excellent without any worry about where it goes. Now you withdraw from the situation. You take yourself away. Make her miss you. And you might say to me, DK, that's insane. I finally got her into me and now I'm going to run away? I'm going to withdraw from the situation? Isn't that crazy? Not at all. Because that will make her want you even more. This is where you have to understand female psychology and have a little bit of faith that all will work out in your favor. In fact, that makes a woman insane with desire, wondering where you are, why you're not falling all over her like every other douchebag guy has that she's lost interest in. The typical guys drool over her, desperately trying to get her to go home with them. This is what most, attractive women are used to. You're going to pull back, totally relaxed, totally outcome independent, having a great time whether she's there or not. Another great quote. Look, chicks are like hunters, man. They want to bag a lion or a bear, something really hard to catch. Remember that. Women want men of high value, men that other women would want, men that not everyone can have. Every woman out there wants the best deal she can get. That's why some women, leave guys who are kind of low value for guys who are high value. Why she ditches the poor boyfriend for the rich guy. Or why she ditches the dorky dude for the alpha male football player. Pick your archetype. Women want the best deal they can get. They want the most desirable man they can get. Not just because they want the best, because they want to show it off. That's a reflection of her value. So anyway, let her do the work and chase you. Always, always, always follow these 3 principles. You're going to be desireless, be excellent, and be gone. All after you have achieved your life purpose and known who you are. You got to do the internal work. You got to understand there are no free rides. You got to understand that there isn't a woman out there for every guy. That's like a myth that they tell children to make them sleep at night. If you're not desirable, you're not going to be desired. So you need to, as a man, you need to read David Data, read Way of the Superior Man, understand about getting a purpose, read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Get the tools in your tool belt to start creating what you want, start using your mind. We're going to get into using your mind a lot because that is how you're going to achieve everything in life. Oh, you're going to have plenty to do, but taking action and doing is going to be useless if you're not using your mind correctly. Then, as an alpha shift man, when you come into contact with women, you're going to be desireless. You're going to be excellent. And then you're going to be gone. That formula will get you farther than anything you can possibly imagine. It will make you an object of desire beyond anything you can possibly imagine. That will do it. A few parting words, a few extra things, a few recommendations I'm going to make to you. One, and these are all going to be in the show notes, I'm going to recommend that you get my course, The Alpha Shift. It's going to give you some more basic understanding of the kind of man that you need to be and what you need to do to create that man. I'm going to give you some real practical advice. I'm going to break down biologically, scientifically, why women are attracted to some men and not to others. I'm going to give you some real distinct fashion advice and tell you how to start getting yourself in shape and some real basic things that you need to start doing to be a man of high value. We're also going to go into, in the Alpha Shift, about getting your purpose in life. That will be covered. There is some wonderful training on law of attraction using the mind that has helped me absolutely change my life. The initial training is called Your Wish is Your Command. I'm going to put a link to it. It's an absolutely free download. I'm going to put it in the show notes. It's my gift to you. There's instructions for downloading at the page that I'm going to send you to. I want you to get that, download it, and listen to it. And then come back and let me know what you think of it. You're going to get the books that I mentioned in this podcast. You're going to get Think and Grow Rich. And you're going to get The Way of the Superior Man. There's a few others, but those are the main ones we mentioned. So I'm going to let you do those this week. Also, wherever you're listening to this or watching this, if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube or on the website, if you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of these other download platforms, I'm going to ask you to give me a rating and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And especially if you're on iTunes, definitely give us a rating. Hopefully a positive rating, but give us a rating all the same. I'm really, at this point, going to start asking for some likes and some comments because I'd like to know what you guys are thinking, and I'd like feedback. I want to know if you have questions. I want to know if you have comments. I want to know if you have triggers and hangups with what you heard. So please, let me know what you think. And I want to really thank you for hanging with me this week. I hope you got something out of the basic outline that I laid out this week of how you're going to take charge of your life, how you're going to know the score, how you're going to take a look at the mainstream media saying there are no marriageable men, when really men don't want to get married because it's a raw deal. But I want you to understand that no matter what's going on, if you have a desire to have a loving relationship, if you have a desire to have a certain life, you can have it. You just have to take responsibility for your own life and start creating it. You can have it. There are people who are happy and who are married and who do all these things that buck the trends. It's out there, and that can be you. But you're going to have to take responsibility. You're going to have to take charge. You're going to have to be a real man. You're going to have to discover who you really are. You're going to have to find your purpose, pursue your purpose, even if it means ending relationships, even if it means leaving certain people behind. You have to be a man with a mission and a purpose. It's the only way that you're ever going to be magnetic. That purpose ends up having mass and becoming magnetic. It's what you must do. You must aim to be exceptional and extraordinary. If you think it's going to be okay to just be average and get by, this isn't for you. This podcast isn't for you. The Alpha Shift isn't for you. Frankly, I'm not for you. I hope you want a little bit more than that. Then you're going to get into your relationships. You're going to be desireless, be excellent, and then be gone. I think I've laid down the formula tonight. This is the formula, the winning formula that will take you from zero to hero. So please, take it to heart. Give me any questions or comments, whether you're hearing this on Facebook, on YouTube, on iTunes, where this is all over the place. Please leave me a comment and give us a rating. And I will see you next week with Don. We have a great treat in store. And peace. I will see you next time. Thank you. This is David Kruger with The Alpha Shift. We will see you next week.